Hi, Christine Trumbull with Pinnacle Exit Group, and today I'm continuing our conversation about family business succession, the pros and cons. The previous video was the benefits or the pros. Today I'm going to talk about the challenges. So how can an exit path that has so many advantages crash so often and so spectacularly into the brick wall of reality? Well, it happens, and I have seen it happen. And the following challenges that we're going to talk about really come immediately to mind. And if you watched my previous video, they're going to sound very familiar because they're exactly what the pros are, the benefits of a family succession are. They're the challenges as well. The first one is financial security. So remember, I talked about being able to create some great financial security for both the owner and the children in a family transfer, but basing the business transfer on family ties, especially ties to someone who can't or won't run the business properly, is a huge threat to you, the owner's financial security and the very existence of the business. You, the owner, put your financial security at risk when you transfer voting control to the children before you have received all of the funds from the buyout or succession of that business, and before your children are actually prepared to run the business. That is a huge risk. The next challenge is time. If an owner wants to leave the business within a year, you have to remember that getting paid full value for the company from the children generally takes several years, certainly longer than if you're selling to a third party or an employee stock ownership plan. The longer the buyout period of the family transfer, like any other inside transfer, also extends the period of time that the owner, is exposed to general business risk. You are still exposed to all of that risk. The next one is taxes. Remember, I talked about earlier, if you structure a family transfer, a business transfer properly, you can avoid, if not complete, you can mitigate, if not avoid taxes. However, without careful tax planning, owners can end up paying far more in taxes than necessary when transferring the ownership to the kids. With proper tax planning, owners can often pay no capital gains, no gift, no estate taxes when transferring the ownership of the business to the children. And then remember those values-based goals. When a family transfer runs amok, you can completely destroy not only the family, but the business as well. If kids don't get along with each other when they're not working together, why do you expect that they'll be able to behave when they are thrust and forced into the business to work together? Transferring the ownership of family business to kids can often exacerbate any kind of existing family friction. And there can often be an unequal perception, a perception of unequal treatment among the kids, between the parents and the kids, and between the owner and the spouse. And then let's not forget any kind of, hidden discontent of sons and daughters-in-law, who are often referred to as the gatekeepers of the grandchildren. They're going to end up wanting to have a say in this transfer. And then communicating among family members can be really emotional in a way that it isn't when you have an unrelated third party. Family is emotional, and when you involve businesses and money, it gets even more emotional. If you can't manage the communication early, correctly, and consistently, you're going to end up adding fuel to whatever family discord you already have existing. And then let's talk about a questionable successor. These are our kids. We think they can do, we want them to be able to do everything. But if the child, if you as the owner, if it's your goal to transfer your business to a child, one of your children, you have to ask yourself, does this child share your vision of the business's future? If you have a grand growing vision of the continuation of your business, but your child, the one that you want to be your successor, doesn't have the same vision, what is that going to do to you when your business, your grand and large and growing business, suddenly is cut in half? Will the choice of your successor please the other members of your family? If it doesn't, then what are you going to do? Do you have a plan? And then can your successor match your desire, ambition, and aptitude for running that business? Again, if you have a grand vision and they don't, if you've been doing this for 30 years and you've got all of the nuances down and maybe they don't, how is that going to affect your business? If your kids can't run the business without the parent or without squabbling with one another in the business, then you're going to end up returning to both the family business and the parenting business. You're going to end up refereeing. So none of these challenges are insurmountable unless you fail to recognize that they exist and that they are significant and that they can create, and that they can create unless they give you the ability to create and implement a comprehensive roadmap to address each one of these challenges. That map should take you from where you are today, which is running a successful business, to where you want to be, which is living financially secure, watching your kids run your family business the way you envisioned it being run, and enjoying family harmony. That is a big deal. So thank you for joining me, and I am here to help you master your exit strategy.